Hi everyone, Dave here. Before we get to this week's episode, just want to give you a quick spoiler warning. So in the spoiler section of this episode, when we're talking about Midsommar, me and Alex do reference something that happens at the end of the movie Hereditary. Now, it's kind of two words we're referencing and a character. My feeling is it won't make any sense to you if you haven't seen the movie, so probably won't spoil it. But if you don't want to know anything about that movie Hereditary, then fair warning. One more thing before we get to the episode. I just want to say a huge thank you from me and Kathy to all the subscribers that we're getting on our Patreon page at patreon.com/the Cinemile. People like Michael Willoughby, Clodagh McCarthy, Aidan Dolby, Oliver Martell, John Salmon and Peter Robson, and many more. If you subscribe, you get a shout out, you get access to our bonus podcast feed, the Cinemile High Club, with loads of TV and movie reviews, and it's all for the less than the price of a cup of coffee a month. So huge thank you, as always. Now on with the episode. Hi, it's Dave here, and you're listening to the Cinemile, the podcast where me and my wife, Kathy, walk home from the movies. She's not here right now, so I've drafted in a substitute wife.
Hello.
My friend Alex, how are you?
Oh, very well, very well.
Alex.
I always get brought in for the scary stuff, which I love.
You're a resident scary guy. Not that you are scary, but you are an expert in scaring people.
No, but I am superbly excited about this, and yeah, horror's my thing, so I was super chuffed when you asked me to come on.
Yeah, well, we are going to Hereditary. No, we saw Hereditary with you, so it was like the natural choice to get you back on. You are not only our scary guy, but you're our Ari Aster guy now.
Well, he's only done 2 big movies, so that's cool. But yeah, 31-year-old, smashed it.
Is that his age?
He's 31, it's disgraceful.
Oh, that's old. That's younger than both of us.
I know.
Significantly.
I know.
Oh, that's grim.
It's really sad. But yeah, 31, he smashed it with Hereditary. I remember us watching it and we were laughing when we were coming out, and I went to see it again, I bought it, I consumed it. I rated the middle sequence in Hereditary the best scene of last year. I thought it was astonishing, that the car sequence in Hereditary.
Yep.
And I've fallen a bit in love with the guy and his work, and so I love folk horror. And this is a folk horror movie.
You're fanboying out right now.
I'm really fanboying out.
All I know about this movie is Florence Pugh's in it, Will Poulter's in it.
Yep. Who I've worked with, weirdly.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, on what was the show? It was this weird E4 show about a school comedy thing. School of Comedy. There it was.
Oh, and the whole cast was kids. It was a sketch show.
Yeah.
I used to watch that. That was great.
Yeah,
and he was a real standout in that.
I used to do promo work for that.
He was
he was the lead of it, wasn't he?
Oh, clearly, he was going places. What was he, 12 or 13? And he was
yeah, I think
he was a very, very solid and funny actor.
As far as I know, I think at the school he went to, my friend teaches there. He was like head boy or something. He was like, everyone knew this guy was going to be famous. They just knew it.
Yeah.
He was just that guy who exuded, star quality.
He's got something about him.
Yeah, no, he's brilliant.
I enjoyed him in Bandersnatch recently.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Well.
Yeah.
And that's all I know. And I know I saw the poster, and it looks Wicker Man-y.
Yeah, it's got Wicker Man feels, which is one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
Superb. Come here, Alex. I've been trying to get Kathy to watch Wicker Man.
It's a hard one.
Years now.
Because she loves musicals. It's a musical. And you can genuinely argue that. There is singing all through that movie.
That's true, yeah.
The whole ending's a big sing-song.
I'll get her on the Sound of Music vibes.
Give her the soundtrack.
The dark side of the
soundtrack is amazing for that film. I listen to it all the time.
All right.
And it's got naked arse slapping.
That's how
walls.
I sell it to her.
Yeah, maybe not that bit.
She's not big into naked arse slapping, but musicals could work.
Yeah, but there's loads of songs in it. They do all the May dance, Maypole, all that.
Oh yeah, of course.
It can be totally classed as a
bees.
Yeah. Well, not that version. Not much in the original. But
I still haven't seen the remake of The Wicker Man. That's high up on my list actually, because I've just seen the reel on YouTube of all the best bits.
It's Neil LaBute who directed that, who is an amazing playwright, and I just don't know what happened when you watch that film. It's like he did In the Company of Men. He did Your Friends and Neighbours, which are just astonishing, indie movies, just harrowing indie movies, and then he made that, and I'm like, I don't know what happened.
I think what happened probably is he just said Nicolas Cage just arrived like a hurricane and just went, I'm going to be Nick Cage, start punching women and bears.
Do you think that's what happens when you go, we've got the money? Brilliant, guys!
Nick Cage. Oh no, he doesn't get paid for this stuff, does he? Doesn't he just show up?
No, well, I think he pulls in the money, and as a result, you have to make a Nicolas Cage movie. I just think the film is secondary to the Nicolas Cage experience.
But the Nicolas Cage experience is one that everyone wants.
Yes,
I'd show up for that. Anyway, we're running late for this thing as always.
Yeah, very excited.
We're
Horror
going to go
in the
see
daylight. Let's do it.
Midsommar. I think you have to say this movie in a German accent, right?
Is it German or Finnish?
So
or
no,
Midsommar.
I saw a poster and I'm pronouncing it Midsommar.
Midsommar. I'm up for that.
Midsommar. It actually sounds like a sort of fun festival that you'd go to while interrailing. Is that what this is about?
I think that's what might actually happen in the movie.
I tell you, I've predicted
Let's
the
go
whole thing.
for a laugh to a really harrowing festival.
Bye.
I invited Danny to come to Sweden. You know what she's been going through.
Christian says you've got this special week planned.
It's sort of a crazy festival. Special ceremonies and dressing up.
That sounds fun.
Unbelievable.
Welcome and happy Midsummer. Skål!
What time is it?
9 p.m.
That can't be right. The sky is blue.
This is what 9 p.m. is like here.
How long have you two been together?
Just over 3.5 years.
4 years.
Really?
Yeah?
What do you think?
It's like another world.
Tomorrow's a big day.
Is it scary?
What is it?
It has special properties.
What am I going through?
We just need to acclimate.
I don't want to acclimate. I want to go.
Absolutely not.
What's happening?
All right. Hello.
We're out.
Wow. Midsommar. I'm kind of stunned. What did you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I do feel every time we go and see a movie, it's the bleakest, darkest, strangest, harrowing event.
I've never really seen anything like that, for sure. I've seen things similar.
I've dabbled in that world before.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, you know, as a horror, you sometimes have to put your big toe in the dark end of cinema.
You're talking, you're not talking about your interrailing experience of '98. All right, so for anyone who doesn't know what this movie's about, I'll give you I've got the IMDb plot synopsis here because I don't know what's safe for spoilers. A couple travels to Sweden to visit a rural hometown's fabled midsummer festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent... Yeah, basically, I won't say what happens. But yeah, some bad shit goes down.
Yeah, I mean, striking imagery would be lingering, retina burning.
I feel like my nightmares are going to be interesting tonight. This guy, Ari Aster, right, wrote and directed this and Hereditary.
Yeah.
I feel like this guy is just on top of his game. This is a confident movie. This is 2.5 hours long as well.
Yes.
And it didn't really. It felt kind of long, but it felt like a guy who was confident and knew the story he wanted to tell, and is a master at communicating story and character and texture through visuals, right?
Yeah.
As in, from even before the credits roll, there's almost like a short story here.
Yes, yeah. There's so many lovely touches in this movie. Right?
Absolutely beautiful. Like, this guy told us everything we needed to know about our two protagonists in a series of phone calls. Really, in what is like just the most beautiful and economic visual storytelling. I think this guy's I think he's a fucking genius.
I think he's a genius. I don't know if he'll be able to do a rom-com though. I do feel like bleak is his bag.
Yeah.
You know, with a lot of like my favourite horror directors, they've shown and proven. You look at Sam Raimi, you look at Joe Dante, you look at all. You know, James Cameron started out in horror. They all have huge amount of variety and flex to their work. His work is singularly dark so far, and I just don't see any studio going, dude. You
don't think he's going to get tapped for the
We're
next
remaking Pretty Woman,
Thor 4?
Yeah,
because this is kind of this is the kind of thing Marvel does, isn't it?
Yeah,
They pick up these up and coming we don't want him making Ant-Man 3, do we?
No, I just don't know, because he is a unique visual storyteller. I felt this film was, absolutely arresting, completely unique. I mean, that's the amazing thing. I think when you watch a film like this, you think, what do I go and see? You question what you want to see cinema for, because there's some harrowing stuff in this where you go, oh my God, I paid money to see this. I feel bad, and I'm so. There were twice where I was like, I'm so pleased my wife didn't watch this with me because she'd think less of me. I won't lie to you.
Oh, as in like, Alex,
why did you
brought
want
me to this
see
shit?
this? No, not like that. Just why did you want me to see this? Because it is just unbelievably visceral and harrowing and dark. But I will never forget that movie. Flat out, never forget it. Yeah. That film is burned into me now. That's just like a mark, like a scar of film experience for me. It was
compelling. Like, I was, from the minute one till the very end, I was with it. I was with these people, and you're on this journey, and it's a slow fucking roller coaster.
Yeah, it's a weird one, because you sort of know bad things are going to happen, and it's so obvious. It plays that hand so early, and sometimes there was points where I'm like, characters, catch up with the story here. This is not going to end well. There are a few moments where I'm like, you are not reading what's going on. But he sets these set pieces up, and they slowly unfold, and you're just saying, where is this going to go? Oh my God, where's this going to go? And it starts off as a song, or it starts off as a dance, or a lovely meal, and suddenly you're like, oh my God, I'm watching, an 18-rated film for all the right reasons. I would not want anyone under 18 to watch that film, because it's
no,
it's immoral. It's got.
Not to mention the horrible imagery, but the psychological stuff is just But it's interesting what you said about it's that typical horror thing of like, guys, read the signs here, get out. Like, but it's easy for us as an audience to look at that and be like, yeah, guys, you're in a creepy cult. Go home. Like, do you not know you're in a horror movie and it's a creepy cult? However, I actually have a personal experience of something similar. Myself and Kathy went to a wedding of a friend of ours. Hello to Colin and Christine.
This is a terrible. So my friend's about to be saying,
just like that, guys.
And I'm still scarred for it today.
So we went to their wedding in Latvia. So quite a similar situation, right? We all went for the wedding. It was a brilliant wedding, and then around after midnight, after the dinner. We were all a little drunk. Everything was going well, and then we were like, "Hey guys, come outside! We've got a special surprise."
Right? You will never trust your friends again in a situation like that after watching that movie.
Like, okay, but just like the characters in this movie, we're like, "Oh hey, we're in a foreign country. All our friends are here.
We're in Rome, right?
This is a bit of fun." And then there was a big bonfire set up. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, come on, guys, we've got these special priestesses, and there's a priest and a priestess who we got in a special. They're going to do some pagan rituals.
This is genuinely something
This is something that happened to me a few years ago.
Oh, my God. Okay.
And then we all went around a fire and, danced.
Did you have sex with a goat?
Wait, it's all starting to come back now.
That doesn't happen in the film.
And there was ceremonies. There was about an hour of ceremonies, and we passed Cullum, the groom, over our crossed hands and all this stuff. But it was brilliant. It was magic. Obviously, it doesn't end like this movie. I gotta say, it has a happy ending. But it's the exact same circumstances as this movie. For these characters, you just get swept up in it. And I thought it was kind of genius that he made them anthropology students with an interest in this subject. So then it was at least half of them were invested in what was going on and also up for it.
I think so, but also they didn't really do a good job of reading up on this stuff.
No, even the guy.
Hey, I'm specialising in this thing, and I'm
Chidi from The Good Life, who's, I don't know the actor's name, but he's great. He fucking knew what was going on. He knew what was going to happen. Yeah. And he's like, oh, it's a shmim.
Yeah. Who are the people? And we're like, and I'm like, yeah.
It's like, dude, you knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we just go to spoilers?
I think the only one thing I want to say is how committed those young actors were in that film, because they were asked to do some stuff that I mean, there are images in that film that they'll have to live with for the rest of their lives. There are some images like, oh yeah, you know when you go on Graham Norton and they go, hey, do you remember those funny pictures? And there's some images from that film which will be pulled up time and time again because they were exposing and revealing for those actors.
I think
I won't say anymore.
Hats off to Jack Rayner in particular.
He's great. He's great.
Everyone's great, but yeah, he has to do a lot. Let's say.
Yeah, the only one I would say is. The only cliched character was Will Poulter, and we were giving him love at the front. He's the only guy who's like the proper American douche.
But that's the role he was given, and he nailed it.
He was great at it.
He nailed it, and I was kind of thankful for that role because there was something
grounded
familiar.
You.
Yeah, I was like,
this
I know
this,
and he's sort of such a cliche that he kind of. Is a relief in a way. I mean, he's literally the comic relief, but he was a relief for me when he was on screen because I was like, all right,
exactly
I can have a bit of a laugh now as well.
Yeah.
You know, because you do need the bit of laughter in this.
Yeah. And
do you need it?
And what I did find weird about the film as well is that for all, it plays everything so seriously and so tragically, and yet there were definite moments when he was like, should we have a little laugh?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
there were some moments where I just couldn't stop laughing, and I don't know if it was because I was scared or I was losing tension or something, just releasing tension.
But actually, they're largely like Will Poulter is a comedic actor, and Chidi from The Good Life. I'll look up his name later. A comedic actor, and both playing it very well. And there was a fair bit of light touch to this for such an intensely
we were
dark
watching
movie.
some harrowy stuff and giggling, and that made me feel bad.
But that's the human reaction to this stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the dark humor that ER surgeons have to deal with this subject matter.
Yeah, sometimes you do need to sort of like find the lighter the brevity of the situation.
We're
here.
On? This is it. All right, we're gonna do a Cinemile and drive here. Right, open her up. Okay. I'll get in the car.
Spoiler car.
This is so as soon as we enter the car, it's all spoilers, people. When you hear this door shut, you better have seen Midsommar. Okay, we're in the spoiler zone. The spoiler van. The very beginning of this movie is like one of the most harrowing short movies I've ever seen. How awful was that setting up? I mean, but it sets up Florence Pugh's character. It endears you to her, and it also tells you so much about her just from those phone calls. The way she forgives Jack Rayner and blames herself for everything is so telling of her as a person. She's a meek character. She's somebody who's reliant on other people, and in a moment where she's lost everything, she's not getting what she needs from him. And I think that is basically everything we needed to get to the very end of this movie. For me, in fact, it's a happy ending for her, isn't it? And it's she's found, in a way, in a horrible, twisted way, she's found herself and she's found a family.
I'm just going to find my ticket.
You do that. I'll just keep talking. This is why cinemiling and driving is not so easy.
Okay. That looks like a ticket.
But I was quite relieved for her in a way, and she ultimately makes this choice to literally sacrifice Christian, who was holding her back. And not only was he holding her back, but she was being held back by her grief as well, which I feel like she allowed to burn away in that house.
Yeah,
I'm pulling some sort of last minute quick film school theses out of my arse here because I haven't really had time to think about this.
Without question, VMAT, there we are. Right, without question, this film is going to be studied by people.
I hope so. There's something in there. It's all based around her character. She's the one with the baggage, and there's definitely a theme of like community. And it's interesting because Pepe Pele's character also describes his grief, and how his community helped him deal with that. and it's kind of there's something in that, and there's something about there's a very interesting comparison between ancient human society and modern human society, which hits you at the very start of this movie when we get that beautiful scenery of the woodlands and this lovely singing.
And the chorus, yeah, it was fantastic. That whole opening was amazing.
Haunting.
The contrasts they were doing.
And then it cuts to a city skyline and a phone ringing, and it's like
there's the two worlds.
It's such a contrast. So separate. And he does that a lot. He does these harsh edits quite frequently, and it's very effective, I think. There's a lot of contrast in this. Another thing I want to talk about is the way he delivers exposition visually, like, because he doesn't treat us like idiots. Like the way we learned about the pubic hair pie love potion through somebody's laundry.
This conversation's
right?
hilarious. It just slowly dropping in these little bombs, and there was pubic hair pie. Yeah. So we had some of that.
That's what the thing. It's like this movie has so many batshit things in it. The pubic hair pie love potion. The guy in a bear suit. I mean, we were talking about the Wicker Man.
Yeah.
It is literally Jack Reynolds in the bear.
There are some serious nods to that film. Some serious nods to it, aren't there? I mean,
it feels like it in many ways, doesn't it?
I think
outsider being like in this very oppressive and close community.
Absolutely, but also, I mean, you know, the use of fire at the end of the whole thing, the whole act of ceremony, the community dancing to the thrilling demise of others. You know, there's tons of reference there. I think what interests me most of all is that this film deliberately took time. You actually find out less about this community than you did about Summer Isle and Wicker Man in an 85-minute movie than this 3-hour movie, because actually it's all about the experience of seeing these people suffer, and you're still like, I thought there might be a resolution. So obviously when we watched Hereditary, we all laughed at the Hale payment, right? At the end of that movie. And in this film, I thought, well, they're going to have something appear or something. Like, what are they doing all this for? I thought there was going to be a moment, but...
Were you expecting a supernatural thing?
I thought payment might tip up again. I honestly thought there was going to be something in that. They were keeping something in there.
You were hoping it'd be the Payman extended universe. Payman shows up. Maybe Payman shows up in the end credits and says, "I'm putting a team together."
That would be incredible. But it did. I love a tidy ending. I like to know why, the reasons why for things. But at the same time, that wasn't the point of this film. You're watching this film and you get the stories finishing for these characters rather than an explanation of what you've seen and why you've seen it, I guess.
Yeah, and I quite appreciated that he went for character resolution and he finishes on Florence Pugh smiling. I thought that was quite beautiful. I actually came out of this movie quite uplifted in some ways. I felt like this character had been through a cleansing herself, and not that she's going to come out the other side of this less fucked up or anything. No. But it is it was a healing process in many ways for her, I think. Anyway, I was quite happy for her.
It was really interesting. Yeah, I don't know if she's like, you'd think at the beginning it's her story, the main story, and I guess it kind of is. But Jack Rayner, the last third of the film, he takes over the film quite a lot. She gets very much pushed to the background as she becomes the main queen.
Yeah, but he had no character really beyond just being he was just a puppy really in an impossible situation. He's being, and he's not. I mean, she's along for the ride as well, but he's literally just like along for the ride. I mean, he's just a pawn really, and he's there for the audience discovery. You know, the moment that we get in every horror film when they walk into the barn. There's always a
walking into a barn moment.
But like, there's not only did you have the walking into the barn moment, you had the leg coming out of the ground moment. Like, they didn't even, like, it was right there in front of them, dude. Like, your friend's leg is literally in the hydrangea.
Yeah, so there's a subtle inference about fertility in nature as to why they're doing this stuff. Like, obviously, the cycle of life is a big theme in this film, and the big scene is the middle scene again, right?
In the suicide scene?
The big suicide live renewal scene, and I thought that was. I mean, what a scene! What a scene! It was.
I mean,
I couldn't pull my eyes out quick enough. I was like, please don't make me watch this.
But you know it's gonna happen, but somehow you're kind of with them, like, because the characters are just there, wide-eyed and innocent, like, hey, this is fun, and I'm like, you just know, but part of you is also like, don't do it. But my God, the gore in that scene was just something else.
And it really relished it. It lingered on it. It kept cutting back to it. It said, you have to deal with this. Very much like Hereditary. Deal with it. You're going to have to deal with what you're... They do a great job of making you feel exactly like the characters are feeling, because you're having to watch it unflinchingly. These people bounce. They bounced. It was hard to watch, and
the sound effects were
and then
very
when the hammer
effective
came out. I mean, I can just say that when the hammer came out, and it just throws 1,000 images into somebody's head. It's just like,
but like the fact that the hammer came out and their ritual clearly specified you need 4 people and everyone's got to go with the hammer just to be sure. Like, even though the dude was clearly like split into a million pieces, but it was like, that's how devoted they are to their rituals. Hey, no, 4 people. That bit reminded me of Airplane with Leslie Nielsen on the gun and people queuing up to...
Get a hold of yourself.
I mean, my God, though. That was... But, like... there's a downside to confronting your audience with that sometimes, because often our imagination is more powerful. So initially that was quite shocking, but then by the 3rd or 4th hammer blow, I was like kind of desensitized already and was noticing the rubber puppet bouncing up and down, the rubber old man puppet, or maybe that just speaks more about my...
I don't know. It's a weird. It's sometimes, yeah, you're right. There's a definite horror idea, isn't there? The scary things you don't see. But when it's acts of violence, and actually the thing that's most scary is the calmness that these people do these things. That's where the real horror is.
Yeah.
It's the inhumanity to what you think how you should react in these situations. So what happens is there's the group from America that go over, but there's all these 2 Brits, and the 2 Brits are the only people really reacting how you'd expect them to react, going, what the hell just happened? These people are dying! Why are you getting your hammer out?
Yeah.
And this is only going to be bad news for them if they're going to start trying to complain about
No, it's fine. Simon just went ahead.
Yeah.
No. He's got the train. He's going to meet you there. Come on.
I mean, Christ. Yeah. So that biggest problems I had for that film were there were killer signs where these people, and there was a lot of drug use in it, and they were obviously medicating these people, so they seemed to be calmer maybe than they would have normally been.
Yeah,
that was very interesting. It gave them a lot of ins and outs, didn't it? Because you're just like, oh, what's in this drink? Oh God, you're not going to be talking for 3 days while they do whatever they want to you.
I thought what the stuff they did with the way the visuals of the distortion,
yeah,
I thought it was really effective. Like the flower sort of almost breathing in her headband, was quite an interesting image. The way even just people's eyes would sometimes get bigger or smaller. A lot of it was very subtle, but actually felt like being on a trip.
Yeah, it felt effective, didn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, it was one of the sort of the closest visualizations I've seen to that experience. But the bit that we both laughed at, which kind of took me out of the movie slightly, was in the key scene where they're revealing it all. Right, we're sacrificing 9 people and blah blah, and she explains the rules, and it's like, and now our May Queen will decide. And the winning number is...
And they put a tombola out. And and I'm like, why would you put... What?
Why tombola?
I guess it's a fair and arbitrary way of dealing with things like that. But it was just so comical.
That's it.
When the tension was so high, like, who's she going to pick? And she's staring right at her boyfriend, knowing what he's just done.
Yeah.
And she goes, I'm just gonna play the game.
Tombola. I felt like that was a mistake, personally. Like, I felt like that took me out of that moment.
I think that was the director just playing with us and just going, this is a game, guys. This is a game, and you're all playing along. And I noticed that a couple of times. There were moments where suddenly you felt like this bit's been played for jokes and this bit's not being played for jokes. And it because I think he has so much control over his audience, the way he directs and edits his films, I just thought I was kind of applauding because it was so stupid, but it was in a film so considered to have something like that. That was not a misstep. That was a deliberate ploy to go, ha, look what I can do. I've got you, and I'm going to play this silly card, and you're still going to buy it.
But you're right. He plays with absurdity quite a bit because it was in the same at the end of Hereditary. It's like it was almost comically absurd.
Yeah,
like what was going on. The same in this. I mean, when you're looking at them. When you're looking at that image, like when you actually step back from objectively, what you're looking at is a Florence Pugh in a head-to-toe flower costume.
That was
standing.
She couldn't walk straight in it. It was so big. It was like
it was like an R2-D2.
It was like a visual representation of all her burden and anxiety, just in a giant flower suit.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
And all these people, like some of them laughing and screaming while and I mean, it's like. It's almost silly, but it's also horrifying.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's what he plays. He blends the two, kind of.
He blends it superbly, doesn't he?
Really superbly.
Because you're just hooked by everything. Because the visuals are so unique, and every scene unfolds in strange ways and unexpected ways. Even though you know what's going to happen, you know this ending's bad. He's from very early on. He signposts everything that's going on. And yet you still are there for every step of the way.
Yeah, you're right. Almost nothing is a surprise, is it? But it's just... It's what we're seeing is a surprise. It's the imagery. And fucking hell.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sleep tonight.
As I said to you when I walked out, I mean, that is I think I said it in the Hereditary one. It's the worst date movie ever. There were... I'm so pleased I didn't show
There were couples in there.
And they looked like they'd gone through crisis. They were hugging each other as they were walking out going, hey babe, you can pick the film next time. It's like, dude, that was a lot. Props off to the art department as well, man. The drawings and all the details.
Oh,
you're here, right?
Yeah, just here,
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely lovely. I mean, that's the set. I'd say they just pull in here on the left. Oh my god, the set of the barn where they were all staying.
Yeah.
And the drawing, like they fucking built that.
They built it.
They built it. And they drew all that. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I think that was one thing. There were a few things I sort of questioned in the film. Why is this thing happen only every 90 years? Because none of those people have ever experienced it. So...
Oh, good question. Yeah.
There's a life cycle in the film. These people, at the age of 72, throw themselves off a cliff. Right?
Yeah.
So this thing...
Well, that must happen every year, I guess. No.
Well, I don't know, but they said every 90 years. This is the special one every 90 years. So that was a weird thing, because you think, like...
Maybe you only sacrifice 9 people every 90 years.
Yeah,
and every year you do the
But they were very hard.
Deaths.
They were very committed to a cause they'd never seen or saw the benefits of, which I found quite interesting.
Yeah, true.
So that was one. And secondly, it was a really small community, and in every barn there was a nasty surprise at the end. The guy who had been split open and was still alive, and his lungs were through the back of his.
Oh, that was the British woman, I thought, was it?
I think it was the guy. I think
was it?
One
Okay,
of those two. But I was like, there's only 6 houses in this commune. It's all out in the open. It was just like, because obviously the set building guy is like, we could build 6 houses. That will be the creepy house. This will be the library house. That will be the one we'll burn. This will be the awesome commune where we'll all have a sleep. It was kind of like, I was kind of shocked, like they hadn't stumbled across any of this stuff before.
Who was wearing Will Poulter's face? Was that the...
Disabled.
Oh,
the disabled muse who was like the guy writing their history.
Oh, look, even though he was just like painting. Yeah. He was just like blue, green. It was like, he was literally just colouring over their book.
Yeah, that's it. You think about it, you laugh about it, and it's the best thing about this. As soon as I get home, I'm going to start digging internet. I'm going right into going in like, what does it mean?
It felt like he'd done his research, didn't it? I felt like it's probably rooted in some actual.
It did feel like that, but I read an article today saying that there's not much of that in the Swedish mythology. A bit more in German stuff. So it's like he'd pick and mixed a bit. From what I'd heard...
A bit of a smorgasbord.
A smorgasbord. The Swedish chef in the Muppets is very proud of you.
Well, actually, I think we have a few Swedish listeners. I don't know why I said listeners. God, they're not listening to us now. So please write in, Swedish listeners, and apologies for whatever I'm doing. No, let us know. I'm pretty sure you probably don't know this about your culture, because I don't know what sort of fucked up Celtic mythology shit we've done.
Well, that's the thing.
But it's interesting. If anybody, okay, wider net, any of our listeners, if you know anything about human ritual and sacrifice, now it just sounds like I'm doing the worst call out ever. Send your goats to.
I know it's the worst thing is you could probably see this in like 5 years' time as a really bad reality show. Where they go,
we sent 5 strangers.
5 strangers looking for answers.
Midsommar Island.
A dark pagan ritual.
Only one can be crowned the May Queen.
The May Queen. It's like a dark version of the Swan, where it's just like slowly each one is flayed in ritual manner.
Oh, brilliant! And it'd be hosted by Anton Deck.
Yeah, Deck. Yeah. And
I'd watch that.
I know, I would definitely watch that.
All right. Got any final thoughts?
My thoughts are, well done to A24, the production company, for getting that in major cinemas, because it's not a mainstream film. It's a really harrowing piece of horror. As with Hereditary, I was still blown away by that film. I can't recommend it to people going for a casual Friday night scarefest. This is not it. This is not, Pet Sematary, which we saw together. It's not one of those little jolt and fun things. This is psychological, harrowing drama, horror drama, but one of the most memorable experiences I've had in the cinema for a long time.
This is cinema, and it's sad because we were talking about this before we went in. It's not doing good numbers.
I'm hearing it's quiet. Yeah, the box office has been pretty low, and I can understand that. It's long, and it's a terrible date movie. Most horror films work because you go together, you snuggle up, you might get a little bit, oh, but I'll look after you, and a bit of that. And it's a roller coaster. This is not a roller coaster. It's just the up bit of a roller coaster. And at the end, everyone sets a light. That's how I would describe the movie.
You never go down. Someone just comes out with a torch and throws gasoline on you.
That's the joke of the film. It doesn't give you a satisfactory up-down thrill ride spectacular. It just burns itself into you. I feel like I'm wearing that film. That's how I feel.
Nicely put. It does, but it makes you think, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And look, here we are, we're getting a great conversation out of it. So I feel like I really hope more people see this. But I think you're right. I don't think they will. Oh, yeah. Go in knowing.
If you're looking for cinema that challenges you, you will see things you've never seen before. You will be disturbed. It's a disturbing film, deliberately so. But there is something unique about the sort of offering it gives you, that sort of movie. We weirdly bumped each other on Friday when we went to see Spider-Man. They couldn't be polar opposite, those two movies, in the way they try and entertain their audience. Because entertainment, again, is a tough word for this film, but it is a genuinely moving, emotional experience watching a film like that. So,
I was utterly gripped by this for 2.5 hours, whereas Spider-Man, I was 2 hours and 9 minutes, and I was largely just like.
I'll look up when the action music starts playing.
And I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I should be engaged. So I feel like that's a movie that was just being lazy, and this is a movie that is really got something about it and wants to make you feel something.
Yeah,
and is doing weird and interesting shit.
If you like experiential theatre, it's a bit like that. It's like put a mask on and go into a world you're not familiar with and just experience it. I don't know if anyone here saw The Drowning Man, or one of those sort of really immersive theatre things where it makes you feel like you're not yourself watching it. It has that essence. That's how I describe it. I can only say that's a positive thing, because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh my God, and that happened, and that happened, and that. You just want to talk about this film. That's all you want to do. I want to get as many people I know who've seen that film. And annoyingly, in my office, nobody went to see this film. I asked everyone, no, it just looked a bit too harrowing for me, or a bit too scary, or a bit boring, or whatever. but my God, I want to talk about it with anyone I can possibly find.
It's kind of like the
please
work
contact me if you want to talk about it.
Well, good segue. All right, so you can contact Al. The 5 podcast is Al's podcast. Do you want to tell people a bit about that?
Yeah. So I do a podcast. It's basically about scenes in movies. So the scenes that make you fall in love with cinema. So we meet actors. I've just had Ben Kent, director of Killer Weekend, on, and the idea is that basically he discusses 5 scenes that made him fall in love with movies. That's the idea. But you can contact me at the 5 Podcast 1 at Blisterman, which is my brother's nickname for me, which is just stuck, and it's my game hashtag as well. If you ever want to kick around a football on me, FIFA or something. But
there you go. Hit Alex up for a game of FIFA and a good old Midsommar chat. He's going home right now.
That is like my dream evening. That is
just Man U, Man City, Man Derby.
Yeah.
Midsommar chat. Oh, how about when that guy was burned alive in the bear suit, right? Go!
That is worryingly sums me up as a human being. But yeah, that's like my perfect evening.
There you go. Go talk to Al. You can talk to us at the Cinemile. We won't be playing FIFA with you, or at least maybe we should start doing it. Maybe I get Kathy playing FIFA with our fans. That'd be quite an interesting live stream.
Are you pleased Kathy didn't see this movie, or what do you think she would have got out of this film?
For the first 3/4 of this, or first half anyway, I was thinking Kathy would really like this.
Yeah.
And I think Kathy would have been really invested in Florence Pugh and her character.
The characters are fantastically drawn.
They really are, because they're we've seen their stereotypes, as in this whole situation is hostile. It's right. We've seen this a million times, but they took the time to actually make us care about them.
Exactly that.
And I think Kathy would have been along for the ride. I think by the end she probably would have just been like, fuck this shit. Because I know Kathy. But and also she doesn't like long movies. So I feel like it would have lost her.
There
possibly.
were definitely moments, and I heard there were a couple behind us who were going, and I think it was the guy just trying to square away the brutalist imagery that was going on. Right up to the suicide moment, she would have been loving that movie.
That's probably
because that's where we not only jump the shark, but we suddenly get our 18 rating. We suddenly get the fallout of this movie, and you go, oh yeah, here's the bad dark film I thought it was going to be. It's going to be really that.
Grim.
Great though, isn't it?
All right.
Cinema's so good when it does.
That was good cinema. I had a really good time at that. In as fucked up as that is.
Yeah, I know.
But look at us, we're both smiling and laughing, and this is
because it's like you. It's like doing something for the first time.
Something.
Yeah. I've done something for the first time today. I watched a man get dressed in a bear skin and set a light. I did that. I never thought I'd see that.
All right.
Yeah. Good.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
We'll have you on for the next Ari. You're our Ari Aster guy now. You're stuck with this guy and his dark mind forever.
I tell you, there's another film just going out on Amazon Prime, The House That Jack Built. Similar vein.
Oh yeah,
Matt Dillon as a serial killer.
Oh, interesting.
It's equally challenging.
Okay, well, I've had enough challenge for one night.
If you really want a great date night double bill, those two, they're both
Jesus
long.
Christ.
That's 2.5 hours as well. Wow, that's like a 5 out of 5 hours of just emotional
the worst
torture.
Sick day you can imagine. All right, let's leave it there. I'm going to go inside. Bye, everyone.
Cool.